Ready? 1, 2, 3. Action! Hi there. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm trying to use some ways to try to figure out how could we face the scenario problem, and we can help them to improve their abilities. Based on my foreign experience, because I studied abroad before, I think that English, the way to use English is totally different from different countries. Like some students will be very well for their English ability, like fluently, and of course the pronunciation are pretty great. However, still some students face some problem about that, just because they are not used to it. I mean that normally if you stay in Taiwan, you don't need to use English too much. Just like even you face or you meet some foreigners in Taiwan, especially when you stay in just like on the campus. Actually, some of them, they are really good at Mandarin, right? Because they study Mandarin here. So I have to say that we don't have too many opportunities to use this way to just to try to practice our English ability, and sometimes people will feel afraid to speak not only in English but also in Mandarin. So I think that it's not a kind of easy way to just to require students, please use English during your group discussion. I don't think it's not so easy. And sometimes people will feel a little bit worried about if I speak English, but people couldn't understand, like my group mates, they couldn't understand what exactly I talk about. And sometimes a little bit embarrassing at that time. And some people will feel a little bit stressful for that. So based on the scenario, during group discussion, if students are hindered by difference in language use of language barriers, how should TA deal with this problem? I choose the presentation format about that narration. Based my context, I thought that if you really want to discuss about the difference of use your English, normally there are basic two concepts about that. First, users, the people who speak English, like their pronunciation. Like when I study in UK, actually some of my friends, I mean that my course mates, maybe they are from India, they have very strong accent, and some people maybe they are from US. Actually, people from America, they use different way to use English. Like if we talk about a trash can, actually in UK they call them bin, right? So I think the pronunciation and using way is a little bit different. Of course, sometimes if we just focus on the fluently, actually fluently is also a kind of a problem. A lot of people, if really want to speak clearly, sometimes you couldn't speak too fast, not like blah and everything's just gone. People couldn't figure out what exactly, and they couldn't get your point. So the fluently and of course the speed, all of them are one concept about the user's way. Actually, based on this, I think that if students they don't have foreign experience, stay in other countries, or some students they just a little bit afraid to use English to transfer their how to say that, to deliver their opinions. I think the better way is to use some tools or just some supplements to help them. If before our group discussion, the better way is to use some resource or supplements to help them just to try to figure out what they exactly want to discuss about. Because before of that, people may just feel a little bit huh, what's going on? What should we do now? So the better way is to help them to just try to provide them some ideas or like some opinions or some topics to help them focus on their discussion first. And before they talk about with each other, maybe the better way is to use just like some notes to help them, just like before you want to share your ideas. Before of that, maybe you can just write down some of the points of your ideas on the notes, and people will feel easy to use this way. Just try to, how to say that, just like try to manage what they really want to talk about. Except of these, we want to approve them, just like we really hope that they have equality opportunities to talk with each other. So after they use this way to just try to figure out what they really want to talk about, and we try to encourage them, they have different ways to just have a chance to speak out what exactly they want to share their ideas. So because we couldn't force them to do that, right? So maybe we use some way to encourage them. Like me, if I do this kind of, I help my lecturer to do this, I will just walk around in the classroom and just try to listen what exactly their process. And maybe these ways can help me to find out some students if they are a little bit how to say that, a little bit negative to just study or just like to share their ideas. And after the class, maybe I can have a chance to just try to encourage them and try to help them to solve their problems like that. So I think that that's the two ways, like before the discussion, we can use some way to help them, to guide them. And after the discussion, maybe I also have another kind of chance to help them to just improve their abilities. I think it's not a kind of an easy way to share ideas. When I study in UK, I also feel a little bit embarrassing of that. Especially all my students, they are really good at this. So when I study there, almost I feel a little bit silence. But I think my lecturer, they have a good chance. Sometimes they have a lot of ways to just ask us questions. I still remember one time, I remember that's about, the topic is about a human resource. During the class, lecturer asked, why the line? I mean that's a kind of a figure. Like what's the figure? What's could you point out the difference between different figures? And all students there are very quiet. And then I just try to raise my hand and I just try to explain of that. Of course, sometimes a little bit stuttered and I couldn't pronounce very well, and sometimes I feel a little bit embarrassed. My face just become very red during that time. But after that, my lecturer gave me very good feedbacks of that. So if we have a kind of a way to help them to be star, and I think that they should have good feedback. So I think the most important thing is about the encouragement of their situation. So that's my how to say that, that's my narration of my scenario, and hope that I can just try to explain that better. Thank you.